Hello, Scarlet Marvel here, and welcome to this week's Marvel News Roundup. Just like last time, we'll be going over 2 weeks worth of news, and so let's get started with a final look at Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania at the box office. So over the 9 weeks that it's been in theaters so far, it's made $212.9 million domestically, and $474.4 million worldwide, making for a pretty lackluster total considering that the run is pretty much done. Hopefully this is just a sore spot for Marvel, as Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 and future movies will hopefully do better. Speaking of Quantumania, one of the actors in the film, Jonathan Majors, who plays Kang and will be playing Kang in future films potentially, has been dropped by his talent manager and PR manager, as well as from 2 upcoming movie roles, following the allegations against him that we discussed last week. Additionally, the situation has gotten more complicated, as multiple additional alleged abuse victims have come forward accusing Jonathan Majors of abuse. However, his attorney still claims that he is innocent, with supposedly sufficient evidence. All this to say that the situation is still evolving, and we won't really know anything until the court date, which is on May 8th. And Marvel has yet to really make any decision or even statement on the situation. I'm sure they're waiting till the court date is over to really figure it out. Next, let's move on to some movie news, starting with the very next Marvel movie, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, whose marketing has just kicked into high gear, with several clips and promos coming out over the last several days, including a promo that reveals our first look at Sylvester Stallone's return as Stakar Ogord, as well as the rest of his Ravagers team. Additionally, these promos have included the first critic reactions to the movie, which are overwhelmingly positive, with particular praise for Rocket's story, the satisfying conclusion to the team's arcs, Adam Warlock's debut, and the darker, more emotional tone balanced well with the familiar humor. This is exciting to hear, as I'm really looking forward to the movie and I hope it does really well. Additionally, Marvel has announced 25 free early screenings of the movie on April 27th at select theaters. First come, first serve. And unfortunately, several have already claimed their tickets, so there are no more available. If you were lucky enough to get one and are going to see the movie early, I wish you have a lot of fun. Looking past Guardians Volume 3, the Marvel movie following it will be The Marvels, and it has had its first trailer released just about 2 weeks ago, and I really enjoyed it. There's some exciting and creative uses of the trio's powers, and the place-switching mechanic that seems to be going on in the movie. Miss Marvel is also really funny and stole the trailer for me. Interestingly, there's not too much of Captain Marvel in the trailer, although there are a couple teases at her becoming a Kree accuser, a storyline that happened in the comics a couple years ago. Additionally, the villain, who has now been confirmed to be Dar-Ben, has the other bangle opposite of Miss Marvel's, which is interesting, as this could connect to Kang or some future multiverse storyline. I just want to give a little shout out to the Flurkin Kitty Army that appeared just for a split second in the trailer, as I'm sure they're going to be destroying some Kree in the film. Anyways, let's move on to some of the further out Marvel movies, as several scoopers and insiders have claimed that Adam Driver is in final talks to play Mr. Fantastic in the Fantastic Four. This is of course unconfirmed, but many have come out with this news, so who knows, could be true. What would you think about Adam Driver as Mr. Fantastic? Let me know down below. Some other casting news has come out, as Stefan Kapicic and Morena Baccarin have been confirmed to return as Colossus and Vanessa, respectively, in Deadpool 3. Additionally, Paul Adelson, the star of Prison Break, has joined the MCU in a currently unknown role, as has been revealed by him in a post, arriving in Atlanta to film, meaning that he's probably going to be in one of the currently filming Marvel projects, which could be either Captain America 4 or Daredevil, who knows, could be Agatha Coven of Chaos, any of these projects that are currently being filmed. Lastly, for casting news, Mia Goth has been confirmed to join the cast of Blade, potentially as a character named Lilith, as revealed by some insiders. Now, Lilith could be referring to either the daughter of Dracula or the Mother of Demons, who was the villain of the Midnight Suns in their first team-up adventure in the early 90s. Either one of these characters would be really exciting and have some interesting repercussions, and it's just exciting to know a little bit more about Blade. Speaking of which, insider Jeff Snyder has revealed that Blade will begin filming in late May. And another film, Avengers: The Kang Dynasty, got some filming updates, as Variety has reported that it will begin filming in spring 2024. Now let's talk about shows, starting with Wonder Man, which has recently begun filming. And set photos for the show have revealed our first look at Ben Kingsley's return as Trevor Slattery, who we last saw in Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. Moving on to the next show, Patti LuPone has revealed that she is playing Lilia Calderu, an obscure witch from the comics, in Agatha Coven of Chaos. And lastly for shows, Lawrence Fishburne and Cobie Smulders have reprised their roles as Bill Foster and Maria Hill, respectively, in Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur, which isn't officially a part of the MCU, it's sort of its own Marvel thing, but this gives it a solid connection to the MCU, putting it solidly in the MCU multiverse. Now there's also some Disney Plus news, as Spider-Man, Spider-Man 2, and Spider-Man 3 from the Sam Raimi trilogy, and The Amazing Spider-Man were added to the service, to the American version of the service specifically, on April 21st, and Spider-Man Homecoming and Venom will be added on May 12th. This is exciting as none of these Sony Spider-Verse films were available on the service before, so it's nice to see all these legacy films and even an MCU film proper right alongside all the other Marvel films already streaming on Disney+. Hopefully the other Marvel Sony films will be coming over soon. Also on Disney+, they have added an ASL version of Ant-Man, which is wonderful for inclusivity of deaf people who prefer an ASL version. And I really hope that this means that they're going to be adding more ASL versions for other Marvel films or Disney films in general on the service. Lastly, with Disney Plus news, Stan Lee, a documentary celebrating 100 years of, well, Stan Lee, will stream on Disney Plus starting June 16th, after debuting at the 2023 Tribeca Film Festival. Of course, this isn't necessarily MCU, but it's Marvel related, as Stan Lee is truly the father of the Marvel universe that we all know and love. As our last piece of news for movies and shows, Deadline released a list of the top 10 most profitable films of last year, and all 3 MCU films made the list, with Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness coming in at 4th place and profiting $284 million, Black Panther: Wakanda Forever coming in at 5th place and profiting $259 million, and Thor: Love and Thunder coming in at 9th place, profiting $103 million. This is exciting as it's quantitative proof that there's not really a Marvel fatigue happening. Marvel is still very successful as of 2022, and still competing with the top movies, even coming in the top 5 with 2 of their films. Hopefully 2023 can do just as well, even after the lackluster start with Quantumania. Now let's go over some comic news, starting with the comics that came out over the last 2 weeks. 2 Wednesdays ago, the comics that released were Bloodline, Daughter of Blade, number 3, Captain America, Cold War Alpha, number 1, Captain Marvel, number 48, Carnage, number 12, Fantastic Four, number 6, Guardians of the Galaxy, number 1, Marvel's Voices, Spider-Verse, number 1, Miles Morales, Spider-Man, number 5, Moon Knight, number 22, Predator, number 2, Silver Surfer Ghostlight number 3, Star Wars Bounty Hunters number 33, Star Wars Dr. Aphra number 30, Star Wars Return of the Jedi Ewoks number 1, Star Wars The High Republic number 8, Storm and the Brotherhood of Mutants number 3, X-23 Deadly Regenesis number 2, X-Men 1963 number 1, the Facsimile Edition, and X-Men number 21. And then this past Wednesday, the comics released were Amazing Spider-Man number 24, Avengers Assemble Omega number 1, Bishop War College number 3, Captain America Unforgiven number 1, Hallows Eve number 2, Hellcat number 2, Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur number 5, New Mutants Lethal Legion number 2, Nightcrawlers number 3, Punisher number 11, Red Goblin number 3, She-Hulk number 12, Star Wars Santa Staros number 3, Star Wars Yoda number 6, The Excellent number 2, Warlock Rebirth number 1, X-Force number 39, and lastly, Extreme X-Men number 5. As always, if you want to check out any of these awesome comics, make sure to check out your local comic book store or wherever you get your comics online. Outside of Marvel comics, movies, and shows, we got a couple of announcements, starting with Rogers the Musical, which will be arriving at Hyperion Theater, Disneyland, and will be about 30 minutes long, featuring 7 songs, and will be from Tuesday to Saturday, beginning June 30th. And lastly, we've got Marvel Move, an interactive fitness audio adventure game that will be launching this summer for iPhone and Android, I suppose. They haven't exactly said how it's gonna be yet, but it's gonna be a phone app. And lastly, we've got our bonus nerdy news segment, where we're gonna talk about the Super Mario Bros. Movie, which opened just over 2 weeks ago to a record-breaking 204.6 million domestically and 377 million worldwide, before going on to gross 434.3 million domestically and 871.8 million worldwide so far in just over 2 weeks, with a ton of money left to come, despite the negative to mixed critic reception. If you want to find out what I thought of the movie, why don't you check out this review that I made right up here. And otherwise, thanks for joining me for this Marvel News Roundup, and I'll see you in the next video. In the meantime, make sure to check out any of the other Marvelous videos up on this channel already. And, well, thanks for joining me. Have a great day. Bye!